What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be looking at the Draft Network's 2-round mock draft as of this week. So, if you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube jazz. Of course, tomorrow is going to be a new 1-round mock draft with no trades, and of course, we have a 3-round trade mock draft following that in the week. So, if you guys like mock drafts, feel free to stick around. Join the Discord if you have not already. It is awesome over there. I love it to death. Over 250 members. It is a very strong community. We do stuff over there that you can't do on YouTube, like fan mock drafts, as well. That's coming very soon, as well as a lot of tape studies, which I do with you guys, honestly, on a fairly regular basis. So a lot of you guys get to experience the building of my board that you see right below my face. So if you guys are regulars, you're like, why the hell is Alex wearing blue light glasses? If you could see that big ass ring right there, that's the ring light that's right behind you. And I realized I started looking like a kind of a dead human being, a little bit like a zombie, because of the fact that the light was like not bright. So then it would just make me look like I do have my Louis Vuitton eye bags, but it just was not the best presentation. So I usually get migraines from light exposure, but I love to power through it for you guys because I do love you. And I'm just deciding to say, screw it. If you guys don't mind, and I don't think you guys will, if you guys like to see the little blue circles, then you get to have a little peek at my setup in the background. But let's get right into this. I have to take away a nice little pop-up, but let's enjoy this mock draft because Keely Sanchez, we've gone at him multiple times, but this is a 2-rounder. I was expected to be able to continue this mock draft, but continuing it for a 3rd round, that's going to just take so much time of ours. And, of course, as you guys see right below me, Olipop is the sponsor of the show. I don't promote him very often because I know I only kind of got him to be my sponsor because I like getting the discount on the drinks, but I literally have over 50 of these in my fridge. I know it's expensive, but I want to make it at least easier for you guys to get it because I love this stuff so much. I drink it every single day, but again, I'm not going to press my advertisements on you. I did it for myself, so it's early in the morning and I didn't drink enough water, so my dumb ass decided to drink Olipop instead. It's one of those days. But number 1, Houston Texans going Bryce Young. Again, you guys get to see my board right over here. I'll progressively scroll as well. But if you have any questions about my board, you can ask them in the comment section, but I'd recommend just going to the Discord because you guys get to DM me at any time there. And we get to go over them because I get to back it up with tape rather than just telling you my thoughts, which that was really fun. I've converted a lot of people to the Isaiah McGuire hype train, but only you guys can make that happen. I led you to water. Now it's your time to drink. But Seattle Seahawks going Carter at number 2. Amazing decision. Super deep edge class. So you can get somebody who's very similar talent level to Jalen. Well, you can't get anybody close to Jalen Carter's, but close to Will Anderson. So I do think that comparatively the opportunity cost is best mitigated by taking Jalen Carter. He's a stud too. So you're getting a super unique player. We do see edge rushers come out all the time. I did not look over this mock draft yet, but we'll talk about that in a second. But we see really good edge rushers come out all the time. We don't really see people of the caliber of Jalen Carter very often. So when you can, you probably should be able to get somebody of Jalen Carter's talent level. Bears go Quentin Johnston at 3. I would heavily advise against this. One, you already spent a 2nd-round pick on Chase Claypool. And apparently, according to my mock draft, I accidentally draft 2 more in the 2nd round. But don't worry. As y'all know in the description, I changed that. But Quentin Johnston is he's a really good receiver. Number 1 receiver for me in the class. Ain't no way in hell he's talented enough to be a top 5 pick. I'm sorry. He's not that Jamar Chase level. He's not that Marvin Harrison level. And everybody knows it. So when you have Will Anderson on the board, please just take Will Anderson. Do yourself a favor and do that. I know the wide receiver free agency class is not that good, but don't waste a pick that's going to screw your franchise over for the next 20 years because of the fact that you wanted to get a need rather than the best player available. Again, it's good depth in the wide receiver class. You're going to get 80% Quentin Johnston probably in the 3rd round with a guy like Justin Shorter, who I like in the 2nd. The Lions going Will Anderson, of course. I mean, if the board falls that way, you better do it. Same thing with the Eagles going Myles Murphy. I think you should consider Joey Porter there as well, but I do love me some Myles Murphy. Number 6, Christian Gonzalez. I have him at pick 10 or at spot number 10 on my big board, but I rewatched him with you guys as well as on my own. And he's really good, but he does give up some significant ground. And like his ball skills are incredible. And he's able to make up the ground very well. I don't like I've been advocating for him for a long time, and I'm gonna be the honesty broker here because I don't care about being right. I care about giving you guys the correct information. Like I don't care if I'm wrong as long as in the long run I tell you guys something that I genuinely believe. And I don't think Christian Gonzalez is no longer worth a top 10 pick for me. The number one man-to-man corner in this class is probably going to still be Christian Gonzalez, but I think it's more Keely Ringo. Keely doesn't give up. He has probably better athleticism than Christian, and then he has equal ball skills. So there's not really a marquee man corner in this class that is that level. But when it comes to ball skills, nobody comes close to Christian Gonzalez. Like his ability to just swap balls away, incredible. And sometimes he gets flags thrown at him even when he actually doesn't do PI because I think that he's that good. But I mean, if the Cardinals take him here in the top 10, I'm not going to shame him. But I just don't know if I'm that comfortable taking him after seeing him get beat by some guys from BYU on some like flag routes where he's lucky that he was able to make up enough speed because Jaren Hall put it in the wrong spot, made the wide receiver jump rather than putting it in the right spot and just getting it to toe tap in the end zone. So yeah, it's just I have my concerns, but he's still a very good player. Again, I'm trying to be nitpicky here and just be honest with you. Colts going Skoronski, I'm a big fan of that. I know y'all are saying, oh, we need to get a QB. I would consider CJ Stroud here. I would definitely at least consider it. But, I mean, CJ comes with his own issues. To be fair, I think CJ is the best option at the spot because you are at number 7. It's not like it's a number 2 overall pick. So you can definitely be back in this range in another draft and be fine taking another guy. But, I mean, if you aren't going to go the QB route, tackle's probably the best one. And Peter Skoronski, even if he becomes a guard, he's still a valuable asset on the offense. Raiders going Andrew Voorhees. I don't hate it. I love Andrew Voorhees. You see him there on my board at pick number 20, or at spot number 20. I do love him. But he's a 6-year senior. It's a really, really, really steep ask to send a number 8 overall pick on a 6-year senior with a very low ceiling. He's going to be very consistent. He's going to step in right away and be able to make a big impact for sure. But I don't feel like the Raiders are one offensive lineman away from being competitive. And I feel like Andrew Voorhees is perfect for a team that's like, we either have a huge gaping hole at guard or we are just one piece away from being that competitive and we think that's the guard spot. Like, I think the Raiders should be focused on corner. They should be focused on linebacker, interior defensive line. I mean, there's just better positions to target, even safety, but not at number 8. Number 9, the Panthers go Will Levis. I do think that they're going to be in the bloodthirsty realm and saying I am no longer going to be going for we're not going to get our 5th kill streak in a row with pretty much getting the sloppy seconds from another team. So they probably want to go after a QB. I understand that's probably the route they'll go. Will Levis is not as bad as people say he is. He has a great arm, but he makes some very high level NFL throws. I feel like he's similar to watching him reminded me a lot of watching Kenny Pickett, but with a stronger arm. So he definitely seemed to have that poise. He still had that really good ball placement here and there. He makes some crazy, weird decisions, but I feel like the right offensive mind, for example, if Frank Reich goes to Carolina, or if Wilkes somehow is able to, tone down Levis, they're able to mitigate those issues and be able to put him in the right environment. He can really shine. So I do like what Will Levis can bring to the table. Falcons going Bijan. I've heard a lot of rumors of Bijan to the Falcons. I don't think this is out of the question. I wouldn't go for it. Really deep running back class. There's a lot of really good players here, and running back is a very low value position. Unless Atlanta just does not feel confident with their quarterback and say, hey, we just want to rely solely on our running back to be able to carry our team, I feel like building the rest of the team is a smarter move. Broderick Jones at number 11 for the Jaguars. I don't mind it. Again, I like going after a corner. If Keely Ringo's there, I'm probably going to take him. But, going offensive line, never a bad thing. Never a bad thing at all. And I'm watching, actually, the Dallas Cowboys game right now. And, offensive line certainly could be a position to target. But I don't think left tackle necessarily is that one position that's a big issue. I feel like it's the interior. But Broderick Jones, still an amazing player. I still think that it's fine. You can never go wrong with picking an offensive lineman, especially as talented as Broderick Jones. Brian Breezy, you guys know how I feel about him. Not a fan. I'll scroll this down so you guys get a little bit more on my board. Not a fan of Brian Breezy. That's just me. I don't see the consistency there. I see the flashes, but flashes don't really mean anything when you can't really put together. When you give up way more plays than you make, I feel like there's a definite issue. And honestly, Brian would be way higher on my board if he did not have like a 30% missed tackle rate, as well as, I mean, apart from the last game, which I actually studied the one game he had more than one pressure pretty much this year. I studied his championship game versus UNC where he had 5 pressures. Like, when he gets to the backfield, I tell you, man, like, this guy doesn't know where the ball is. And a lot of interior defensive players, just for some reason, they win the block. And that doesn't mean jack when you don't know where the ball is, because you're supposed to be playing the ball, not exactly the block. So someone like Brian Breezy, there's a lot of interior guys in this class that they'll just go through the block and then they'll be like, where's the ball? And you got to know what's going on around the play. The only guy who genuinely makes me feel comfortable with knowing what the hell's going on is Jalen Carter. And that's why I think he's really special. And I might be moving him up my board too. I love Jalen Carter. But Brian Breezy, again, is that awareness of what's going on that really scares me, because he can be a great block shedder. But if you don't get to the ball, it's all for naught. Steelers going Joey Porter. I love it. This is my favorite pick in the entire draft. Steelers are at number 2 overall. I would still say trade back, get Joey Porter. That's not true. I would definitely get Jalen Carter. But if they are out of range for Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, Joey Porter's my man. I don't care about anybody else on the board. I love Joey Porter to the Steelers. He's literally a perfect fit. He's literally bloodline. So, the Steelers love to get the bloodlines. We do. So that's great. Packers getting JSN. I really do like this. You already have your speed on the outside with Christian Watson. Now you get a really reliable guy who could be in the slot. Bigger, good blocker. Like this, I'm not a fan of Jackson Smith and Jigba necessarily in the top 20. Apart from this type of fit, I really do like it. So, he's not wide receiver 2 for me. But I think this is a great fit for him. And I think this would be a spot where he could totally flourish. So, amazing compliment to Christian Watson. You'll never hear me give that many compliments to JSN. This is one where he is literally hand in glove fit. Now, there's a lot of other options that I see the Packers end up going with, but in a fantasy scenario, definitely think that's a good spot. DJ Turner, I've seen him get absolutely shellacked a bunch of times. I've not studied his tape in depth. Again, as you guys know on my Discord, the all-22 guy who I have has not been so consistent. And now I'm starting to pay a little bit more so I can actually ask him to give me certain tape. Of course, there's limitations on that, but I don't think DJ Turner would be at the top of that list, but he's definitely somebody who I need to watch more. And people who are making up their opinion without all 22 tape on DBs, just be mindful of that, because you can't watch the whole rep and you don't get to see how they actually react to certain moves. And so if you're watching people and they're making decisions on cornerbacks without actually watching all 22, which is extremely hard to get. So again, I respect it, but if they say they're very confident in their decision on like their evaluation, don't listen to them. At least if they accept the fact that they did not fully watch the player the whole rep, which again, some people just don't have access to that, and that's perfectly fine. Then it's best to start to they've lost a little credibility in my eyes, and I hope they have in yours as well. Because I'm not going to tell you guys I watched a player without watching him. I've seen DJ Turner, but I have not seen him in all 22. I certainly don't believe he's a first round pick. I love the idea of going a corner for the Lions, but definitely not DJ Turner. Tyree Wilson for the Chargers, I don't mind it. Khalil Mack would be an amazing mentor, and he can kick inside for the short term. Honestly, one of those picks where I haven't even thought of it, but I really do like it. I do think Tyree Wilson will probably go higher, though. Foskey for the Seahawks, he will play outside, so he's a scheme fit, but I just don't really like Isaiah Foskey. Watched him literally 6 times, just not a fan. I could understand why people like him, but again, it's one of those guys that I've been taking a stance on for 2 years now. Just not a very good player in my eyes. Somehow CJ Stroud gets here. So, again, there's a lot of picks before where I could have been like, might as well take him. Again, he's number 27 on my board. He's 28 now. Yeah, I dropped him one closer to Will Levis, I think. I moved up Bijan because I love Bijan. Man, I mean, I would do it if I'm the Jets, 100%, because you get a nice distributor. But we all know that's not real. Like, I don't think this is a fantasy mock draft. But even if it is, I'm surprised at the fact, like, I feel like this is, again, to get clicks because they're not getting much revenue from their mock draft machine because it's still being tested, which is a big shame. I hope they're making a radical change to it because if it's just a roster update and they're afraid to do it, that really does hurt my soul because this is my favorite mock draft simulator, which honestly, I'm starting to build up some momentum trying to build my own. So we'll see how that goes out. But until then, I'm praying to God they get it back on track. And they had an announcement earlier in the month saying that they're trying to get it back up. But CJ, if he's there, you take him. I don't think he will be, so go offensive line or safety in the real draft. Buccaneers going Mayer. I don't think Tom Brady's going to be there. So if you have AR-15 on the table, you take AR-15. So I would definitely do that in a heartbeat. Hold on. Whoa! I totally forgot about this. Yo, they took Will Levis above CJ. Again, you guys see how close they are on my board, but man, Carolina would be a great spot for CJ Stroud. I would totally take CJ above Will Levis for that franchise. Just that totally slipped. But Tampa Bay AR-15 would be my go. Like, I would just see, hey, you never know what happens. Derek Hall to the Titans. I love that fit. It might just be because the uniform colors are roughly the same, but totally love it. Just not in the first round. I do like Derek Hall a lot. He's a really seasoned veteran. He's a guy who gets a lot of production. I don't know if he's going to necessarily test all that well, but he's definitely a guy who's going to be a very solid perennial guy on a roster. He might be a perennial starter for the majority of his career. So definitely don't mind that at all. I like Derek Hall. Colby Wood, though. I like Colby. Just not in the first. And I understand it. At least we give some respect to some of these guys who don't get really that much shine in the mock draft. So, I could totally tear it apart. I could tear these picks apart 100%. But it's just nice to see some representation with some guys who aren't really like very well known throughout the non-scouting community. But yeah, these guys are a very, very talented edge group. Colby sometimes can kick to the inside. He's very large. I think he's 275 plus, but Colby's definitely a good player. I don't think he should be anywhere close to the first, but again, you got to show a little bit of love where a little bit of love is kind of lacking, and guys like Colby Wooden and Derek Hall kind of have that. I didn't even draft Colby Wood in my third round, which I probably should have. Commanders going Anthony Richardson out of Florida. If he's there, you take him, man. If he's there, you're playing pretty much defense against the Giants, and you're seeing what happens. He's a long-term project. Giants going Christopher Smith. I don't know if Christopher Smith is necessarily worth that first-round pick, but he's a good player. So I would definitely try to address the cornerback position. Has Keely Ringo gone yet? I'm tripping. There's no way that he has not gone. I don't remember saying his name, though. He hasn't gone. Why? What's up with the hate for Keely Ringo? Like, why are we drafting Christopher Smith before Keely? I have no idea. I don't... Is this an April Fool's mock draft? I don't know. This is weird. Like, we're in December, right? Like, it's not April. But Emil, I haven't even seen him in top 100s. So, Denver Broncos could be the new Las Vegas Raiders. You never know. I like the idea of going offensive line, but interior? Really? Like, that's not the part of the offensive line that I would address. I would address the tackles. So, weird. Devon Witherspoon above Keely Ringo. Devon's getting a lot of hype, so I do like him, but interesting. Brian Branch to the Bengals, honestly, they have both safeties. They have two safeties up for contract. Granted, he does play a very similar role to what Dax did, so I don't know how I feel about that. He's a Cowboys fan, isn't he? He is. He literally did it. He did it just to put Trevon Diggs with Keely Ringo. I know it. It's a lock. He's a Cowboys fan. Anton Harrison to the Chiefs is a dream. Jordan Addison, I fuck with that so much. I actually really like that pick. Jalen Hyatt to the Bills. They kind of already have that in Gabe Davis, but I do like Jalen Hyatt. As you can tell, he's number 30 on my board. I'll scroll down so you guys get a little bit more of a view of my board. Jahmyr Gibbs to the Eagles. It makes sense, it definitely does. The Eagles were apparently interested in Alvin Kamara, and how he usually likes to go after one offensive player. So in the first, so I definitely think that it is realistic. However, I would personally advise against it. I would try to dress corner like Jalen Jones is on the board. I would even look at the defensive interior. But Jahmyr Gibbs is not a bad pick. Just maybe not my number one. Ross stays in Texas. Again, he's one of my buddies. We have an interview of him on the show back from 2 years ago. So it's nice to see that he's getting hype. I don't think that he necessarily, his talent warrants, by pure merit, number 33. I would love for him to get that recognition, that money. But I see him jogging on a lot of routes. I see him dropping balls. That's been a big issue with SMU wide receivers. And I mean, Danny Gray was obviously a superior wide receiver, and he's putting up 0 fantasy points here and there for the Niners. Granted, I haven't checked whether he's injured or not. But, I just don't know. I don't think Raw brings it to the table the way that you kind of need to for the Texans. Henry Teotoa, he's a UDFA for me, so I would literally cry if I were the Steelers. Devin Bush is coming out, awesome. Get rid of Devin Bush, but then you replace him with someone who's way worse. Henry Teotoa is afraid of going to the ball. He's not a Steeler. There's no way in hell the Steelers would ever draft him. I'll die on that sword. I don't think Steelers, if they draft Henry Teotoa, it's going to be embarrassing because then it's going to be the final, it's going to be the final nail in the coffin of, the Steelers' mantra of these big hitters and people who love contact because Henry will literally try to get away from the contact. It's weird. Cedric Van Prance, it looks like someone has not been watching tape this year for these two. Cedric has not been doing a great job. He's not. No, he's not been doing a great job this year. He's just been the same guy as he was the year before. No progression when he really needed to take a step up. Thule's a good player. Definitely feel like the Saints would be interested in bringing him on for sure. Cheers. I'm sorry, Cardinals fans. Jalen Duncan. So I had him as a late third, early fourth, starting out the year. I rewatched him dude, all these TDN guys, they're boosting this guy's stock. I don't know how much Jalen Duncan's paying these people. I rewatched him for this year, made sure not to watch the Michigan game because that's where he got absolutely sliced and diced. This man may be one of the worst offensive tackles I've ever seen. I used to play offensive tackle. You won't believe it, but I did for a long time. This guy is absolute butt cheeks. I would never draft him. Who cares if he's an athlete? I would rather go and take somebody from Australia in the rugby league and mold them with this second round pick than go after Jalen Duncan. He is an absolute travesty. Especially when you have Paris Johnson on the board. I don't even like Paris Johnson that much, but he's still really damn good, especially compared to Jalen Duncan. And I do like Paris Johnson. It's just his lack of ability to anchor down and stop a defender from pushing him back. That's a big concern. So I understand this is probably in a fantasy scenario where I would roughly have Paris Johnson, but I definitely think that, based on how I take tackles, he 100% would still be taken in the first. And in the real draft, he'll be taken in the first. So if the Rams get this, man, that's a thing to pop champagne for, man. I'm telling you. Cam Smith to the Colts, a great steal right there. Nolan Smith for the Panthers, I love it. Did I do that? I think I did that in my most recent mock draft. I think I did. I do like it a lot. That's where Hassan Reddick's role was. Very similar weight, size, speed, strength as well. I have a lot of love for Nolan Smith. Darnell Washington to the Falcons. Man, another tight end? I mean, there's so many more needs for the Falcons. You got running back and tight end. There's still corner out there. There's still edge rusher out there. There's still D tackle out there. Still linebacker out there. There's still guard, if not right tackle out there. So I'm genuinely concerned. If the draft falls like this, Falcons are screwed for years. Jaguars getting Mozzie Smith. Nice developmental interior. He's good at run stuffing as well. Obviously, number 1 on Bruce Feldman's freaks list. He's actually ranked around the 60s or 70s mark for me as well. I do like Mozzie Smith, but I am a little bit concerned with taking him after you just paid fully Fatu Kasi. He's fine. Again, I don't think I would take him at 42, but there's worse picks. How about that? There's been worse picks in this draft. Siaki Ika, we watched him on the Discord, so again, go join. But he looks even worse than when I first graded him. He's probably one of the most least athletic players that I have seen coming out, especially ones that get hype. He's probably the least athletic guy I've ever seen get hype. But I would never draft him. Just going to be honest, I would never draft him. I could find a big man anywhere in the world. We have a lot of them in America. Obesity is a problem. Maybe they're not as strong as Siaki Ika, but if you don't have to spend a second round pick, I would take my chances going to the streets. But again, if I get to have a much better player and then get to like just see what scraps are left over with the big guys. Like guys like McCall last year, he's 380 pounds. He's just chilling on a roster. Like that's what you're going to be getting out of Siaki Ika, and I think he actually regressed from last year to this year. Xavier Hutchinson for the Steelers, I don't mind it actually. He's a good Chase Claypool replacement, so I honestly wouldn't hate it. I still think DB needs to be a concern, which we already got one. I still think that defensive interior needs to be a concern, which we have not. Offensive line is probably the big thing that's been missed a billion times. And now I'm even more mad because I realized that Paris Johnson was on the board when we went Henry Teotoa. So we're just going to continue moving on to keep sane. I just spoiled a bunch of picks, but I have not studied Henry. Never even seen him on a top 100. So at least he's getting some recognition. Awesome. Gervon Dexter has become a 5th rounder to me. He looks less explosive. He's taken a big step back. Big step back. Oh my God. No way. This guy's a Lions fan, isn't? No, but because he got DJ Turner. What is going on? What is this? What is this? I know that every mock draft is going to be flawed. Mocks that I make, totally flawed. I totally agree. We all make mistakes. But this is his 4th of the year. Come on, Keith. Come on. Guys like me, we make significantly less on what we do compared to what these guys do. These guys are making thousands of dollars off of stuff like this based on the traffic flow to the draft network. These people are paid professionals that can't seem to scout. I don't understand this at all. I really don't. And again, I don't know if the draft network is saying, hey, put out something crazy. And maybe that's the case. But there's something really wrong with a people who genuinely don't just want to have a good time understanding who to expect in the draft. And oh, well, then Henry Teotoa must be really good. He went before Trent Simpson. And they're being misguided by people who just genuinely don't know what's going on. And I'm sorry for you guys that you guys have to be exposed to that because you guys deserve better than that. And that's why I'm here. That's why I like getting feedback from you guys because maybe you're misunderstanding something. Maybe I am. But this is seriously bad journalism. This is really bad. I'm genuinely disappointed because I have so much respect for the draft network. I do. But this year has been critically awful. And it hurts my soul. Genuinely, I look at this and it hurts. You have guys like Henry Teotoa going before Trent Simpson when Henry Teotoa isn't even featured in top 200s half of the time. I'm not going to make this into a rant episode, but this, I tried to just be super calm, super chill, give a nice margin of error because everybody makes mistakes. This is genuinely firing worthy. This is bad. Clark Phillips, cool. I think Seahawks are much better at getting guys down the line. Battle seems to be a good enough guy for the Jets. I don't think he should be anywhere near the 2nd round, but you do you. Tucker Kraft, I would swap this out for Luke Musgrave, and then maybe I'd be a lot happier. But definitely think tight end's not the big needle mover. Getting another wide receiver could be. Jared, I'll just show you. If you look at number 8, that's where I have Jared Verse. Jared Verse is pretty much a lock 15, top 20 player. He's definitely a lock 1st round. But his play recently has just vaulted him up boards, and he should be arguably the number 1 player in the class. So we shall continue. Anthony Richardson did go in the 1st round. I'll say, Cedric Tillman, he's I think a 5th or a 6th year senior. Doesn't have that crazy of explosiveness. If New England's looking for someone to replace Devontae Parker, no, an awful decision, but otherwise, Cody Mock as an interior offensive lineman, I don't think I would grade him that way. He definitely doesn't seem to have length issues. He's a left tackle. And my only issue with him is that North Dakota likes to send him past the D-line to the linebackers and safeties, which means he's athletic. He's a good second-level blocker, but, I definitely like the idea of Cody Mock. I think I took him myself. Weird that they have him listed as a guard. Zay Flowers, another guy like Wandale. I love Zay Flowers again. Like, y'all see him on my board. Where is Zay? I say y'all can see him on my board. Yeah, I can't even see him. He's number 51. Like, definitely love him, but man, that's interesting. Garrett Williams, he did declare, so another really good corner. Does not fit the Commander's scheme as a pure zone corner, but Garrett Williams is a damn good player. You know, you got to do what you got to do. Dalton Kincaid for the Dolphins, I love it. I do think he's a great player. I think Luke Musgrave honestly fits possibly better. He's kind of my dream pick for the Dolphins now. He's kind of the upgraded version of Mike Gesicki. So Kincaid would not be mad at it at all. Brandon Dorlus for Chicago, interesting. So at this spot, you can get a nice receiver like Justin Shorter, and you could have gotten somebody like Will Anderson at 3, but instead we go Brandon Dorlus here and Quentin Johnston. I just don't see how it adds up personally, but Brandon Dorlus, good player. Glad to see he gets some representation. Caillou Blue Kelly, that's fine. You know, again, Jalen Jones, much better player, but you do. Josh Downs for the Panthers, don't think they need more wide receivers at this moment. Josh Downs is a damn good player. He is. He's a good player. Feels very Calvin Austin-y. I might like Calvin Austin a little bit more, but Josh Downs is a true junior versus a redshirt senior, so he has age on his side, so more time to develop. Quentin Johnston's he's a big player. I mean, he's a big playmaker, so you know, I don't think he'll ever go this high. I don't think he has a good enough resume, but I'm glad to see he get some representation. Parker Washington, is another after the catch guy who's kind of slow. So you're adding him to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, you already have a speed guy, but you already have your slot weapon. I guess this is a guy good for screens, but I think Amon-Ra is that. Doesn't really feel like someone I would want to get a true bigger X receiver like Justin Shorter. Drew Sanders, not an edge. He's a linebacker. He's been playing middle linebacker all year. He's used to be an edge for Alabama, where he was 250, but he slimmed down to 230, moved to linebacker. I do think that's a little bit of an oversight. This is really frustrating me. Like, this too, Antonio Johnson's going to be a first-round pick. That guy's insane. He's going to be a top 40 pick for sure. Like, he's been playing out of his mind. He's super versatile, and honestly, he's pretty damn athletic. I don't see him falling out of the top 40. But it's like, why would you say a versatile edge rusher? Because Drew Sanders is a middle linebacker right now. I don't, like, he definitely watches tape. He has to, right? There's no way that they just say, oh yeah, you haven't done any studying? Do 4 mock drafts for our site. Like, this is our reputation. THT for the Eagles, another slot corner too. Guys, I just want to take this moment to apologize that I just wasted your time and mine with... I mean, I've tried to ban the Draft Network from being part of Mock the Mock because of how frustrated I've gotten. But this is genuinely depressing because of the fact that I do love this site so much. Like, I have so much respect for it. It's a place where I've wanted to work for a long time. But just, I don't know what happened. I don't. They used to have, like, Trevor Sikkema. Like, they used to have guys like that who really did bring, like, they had their crazy takes, and they still do. But, you know, like, the quality, I don't know what happened. Jordan Reed used to be on here, too. Jordan Reed has his own issues, but he still brings some, like, professionalism to the game. Like, saying the wrong position, like, this is an edited document. Like, editors look through this. I don't know. So I do apologize for wasting your time. But maybe it was fun. Maybe it was fun seeing me, like, lose my mind over something like this. Man, it just hurts when you just have so much respect for something and realize it's just not what you think it was. Like, it's just not the same anymore. So, again, thank you guys so much for supporting me and always holding up your standards for my show, because I want to keep those standards sky high, and only you guys can make sure I'm checked on that. Otherwise, I'm just talking to a camera and a microphone. So thank you guys so much for watching and enjoying as always. See you on the far side. Peace.